Hello. Give everybody a second to jump on. Hello, I'm drawing pictures. Gotta make sure you can see these. All right. As you pop on, say hello. I needed my whiteboard today because, hi Shana. I wanted to, it's really hard to explain shapes of butts because most of us don't walk around and stare at everyone else's butt. But someone asked the question, what does a big booty mean? And I thought, oh, I'm totally gonna do a live on that because so many people hate their butt. Or they spend ridiculous amounts of time trying to have the ideal butt. Well, let me actually tell you the measurements, the size, and the shape, and what it tells me about your emotions and all of that kind of stuff. Hi, Heather. Oh, I'm so excited to see you. Okay, so butts are actually really fun. How many of you have ever been called a butthead? By some rude kid, a sibling? That was like the thing to call people for a while. Well, the ironic part about that is that the measurement for your butt cheeks are your head. So if you were to measure your head and put two of those next to each other, that is the size of a proportionate butt. So the term butthead is quite literally true. Your butt is the size of two of your heads. So now some of you are laughing your head off right now because you're like, my butt has never been that small, or my butt has never been that big. So keep in mind with body mapping, every part of your body can be measured with another part of your body. So when it is in proportion versus out of proportion, that isn't good or bad or right or wrong. It just tells me something about you. So when I measure my eye against my thumb, my eye is bigger than my thumb because your thumb should be from the tip of your finger to your knuckle. Well, when I measure, mine goes past it. And so I know that there are certain things that I view the world differently because my eyes are proportionately large. So with butts, these are shapes. If you can't tell, these are the side view. So you've got the bubble butt. I call this a shelf butt. This is an old man butt. Oh, I just erased part of it. So it's not just old men that have old man butt. Some people have old man butt too, where they just don't really have anything under here. And so it's hips, and then it just kind of is this slow diagonal line to the leg. So that is what I call the old man butt. The shelf butt, these are what they look like if you were to like look from behind. So you have more of like the rounded butt, you have one that's more square, and then this is old man butt from behind. So now all of you are gonna be like, what kind of butt do I have? Because most people have only looked at their butt from the side for good reason. You're not usually like, hey, take a picture of my butt so I can see what it looks like. However, I encourage you to do that because it's not good or bad. None of these are good or bad or right or wrong. They just tell me how you deal with your past. They tell me whether or not you shelf your emotions, because when we shelf our emotions to deal with later, we end up with a shelf butt. It's something that we stack our emotions on. So versus a rounded butt, things tend to bounce off of it. And so the shape is important but the meaning of your butt as a whole. I think mine is flat and square. A lot of people have a flat square butt. Whether they have the shelf on top or not, they could have a rounded or an actual, like, wow, you could set something on that. So with your bum, physiologically, the muscles in your glutes, there are 3 muscles, and their specific purpose is to help you stand up. It's to help lift you up and project you forward. Well, your butt does that emotionally as well. And so when we are choosing to not progress, or we feel like we're being held down, people become a pain in our butt, a literal pain in the butt. So if you have people around you in your life that try to prevent you from moving forward, or you are very hypocritical in your words, do as I say, not as I do, that will cause sciatic pain stemming in your butt, down your legs, and up to your back. Your butt actually tells us a lot about how you progress, because physiologically, the muscles allow you to lift yourself up and to move yourself forward. That's what those muscles are used for. And they are emotionally as well. So when we are feeling stagnant, the butt stagnates. So when you lose the ability to lift yourself, you start to get old man butt. Have you ever tried to watch an old man get out of a chair? Yeah, sciatic pain. If you ever try to watch an old man get out of a chair, once they're up, they can move forward. But lifting themselves up, having the strength to lift themselves up, is what they are lacking. So when I see people that have this diagonal, slanted old man butt, this tells me that they really have head gremlins, that their ability to lift themselves up, they struggle with anxiety, they struggle with depression. And not to say that you can't have a round butt and have depression, because you can, but these people really are in a place where they just cannot lift themselves anymore. They really rely on other people to help strengthen them and to help buoy them up. Now, if you have a good support system, you won't have back issues. If you are in a savior complex and trying to help everyone around you, and that's why you refuse to lift yourself up, it's going to cause problems on your knees, it's going to cause problems in your lower back, because we aren't made to take others' burdens from them. We are made to support them and stand beside them. So with the different shapes, and for those of you that are just jumping on now, the size is 2 of your heads. So if you were to measure your head and then put another one next to it, that's the size your butt should be, if it's proportionate. So the larger the butt, the easier it is for that person to lift themselves up and project themselves forward naturally. They have the ability to let things bounce off of them. They tend to have a more, whatever, I don't care. They let go of their past easier. Not to say that their past doesn't have hurt, hard, and broken in it, because everyone's past has hurt, hard, and broken in it. But when we have a strong butt, we are able to project ourselves forward and lift ourselves up. So if you have ever had a bubble butt and hated it, start to love it, because it is an actual signal to others that you let things bounce off you. So if you actually looked at these shapes, if something were to hit here, it would roll down and it would roll off. But on this one, if something sat here, it could be shelved. It could wait for later. And this one, it's the same thing. Things will roll off. So when you have an old man butt, you do let things roll off your back, but it's hard for you to lift yourself up afterwards. So it's not necessarily, well, yeah, whatever, they can have their opinion, but then you do have a hard time lifting yourself up, where this person literally has the strength to let things bounce off them and lift themselves up afterwards. This one, they can have a strong butt, because I've seen people who have, they've got the strong glute muscles, but then they also have a shelf on top because they shelve a lot of their past. And so this, I try to use words that also help with the picture. And all you have to do, go to any go to Target, go to Walmart, go to Costco, go to anywhere that there's mass amounts of people. And since we can't see anyone's face right now anyways, just check out everybody's butt. Because you will see shelf butts. You will see and you will know. So a bouncy bum is the best? Yes. Well, not best, but it just allows it allows things to roll off of you, and it allows you to be someone who lifts themselves back up. Because this is where people are like, well, they just got that way because they exercise. No, I know people who are runners. They do marathons, and they have they can have an old man butt. So yes, part of it is exercise, and I'm not denying that at all. But you wouldn't have the desire to have a different shape if you didn't have a different characteristic in your personality. Because let's talk about some of the other stuff that happens with your butt. That is where you literally remove toxins from your body. And so your digestive system, I might do a different video on this one, but your digestive system is all about your ability to make decisions. And so your digestive system affects your forehead, but it also affects the end process of your digestive system. So if you have over-digested things and you have over-processed things, it's going to give you diarrhea, and that's going to cause you pain because you're trying to hold on to toxicity that your body's trying to get rid of. Well, if you take a human body, the entire front of your body is your present and your future. The entire back of your body is your past. So we hold things from our past on the back side of us, on the back side of you. So nothing about your butt is symbolic of your future. And people who tend to take their past and project it into their future start to take on the shape of having not just a mom pooch, but they look like they have a butt in front and a butt in back. And I know you know what I'm talking about. People actually call it a front butt. And so that's because you're so stuck in your past, you've shelved so much in your past, that you are now saying, I cannot have a future without these things. So your body, in an effort to go along with what you're telling it, will shape yourself accordingly. And someone asked me to talk about fat with this one, and I talked about it a little bit on the video I did with belly. But here is the bigger piece with your butt. Nowhere on your body is fat a bad thing. Fat is doing its job. Fat is doing exactly what you have asked it to do, which was create a barrier. If you are trying to hold yourself in because you've been told that you're too much, because you've been told all of these things that didn't bounce off, that you shelved. You're too loud, you're too girly, or you're such a tomboy. All of those things that made you feel like you weren't enough. If you have shelved those to deal with later, you're holding them in your butt, which is affecting your lower back. So a lot of people will have lower back problems when they have a shelf butt or when they have the old man butt, because all of those emotions are just sitting there in your lower back waiting for you to deal with. So then in comes the round bubble butt. This is what I think is so fascinating. Even culture of glamour and shapes that women are being told they're supposed to be. When women were told they would be super, super skinny, that they didn't want a booty, it was almost in style to have more of like no butt. It was a way of also telling women, I don't want you to be able to lift yourself. I want you dependent on other people's opinions of you. And now you have a society where women are saying, no, I get to decide who I am. I get to decide my value. I get to decide my worth. And what's the trend? Everyone wants a big booty now. So yes, you have to do the work. If you have never done a lunge or a squat in your life, you're not going to go from old man butt to round butt just because you start having positive thoughts. You're going to have to do the work. But I have known people who do the work and they still can't get this. And it has a lot to do with the emotions they have shelved and whether or not they feel like they can lift themselves up and project themselves into a new life and into a new future. So the other part with butts is hips. And no one asked about hips, but I want to talk about hips because for a lot of women that hate their butt, they also hate their hips. And the thing with hips is this. Hips help us balance. Hips are all about maintaining balance. So your hips and your glutes work together to maintain balance and strength when we lift ourselves up and move ourselves forward, just physiologically. So they also do that emotionally. Our hips and our glutes work together to lift ourselves up and move ourselves forward. So when women are stuck, for whatever reason, they're stuck in overwhelm, they're stuck in comparison, they get stuck in perfectionism, they get stuck in procrastination, they go into savior complex and think that they have to fix everyone, it affects their hips. And a lot of times people will say, you need a stronger, work on your glutes. Yes, work on your glutes. Work on lifting yourself up and maintaining balance in projecting yourself forward. So how do you do that? It's staying in feminine energy. It's getting out of the hustle. It's getting out of the doing. It is really focusing on allowing yourself to flow. When women walk with their hips, it strengthens their glutes and it's easier for them to balance. When women walk with their chest, meaning their chest is pushed forward, they take longer strides and it actually weakens these muscles. It makes it harder for them to physiologically lift themselves up. So when women walk in masculine, meaning they walk with their chest forward, it's weakening them. When women walk in feminine energy with their hips, and I'm not talking supermodel, you don't need to walk like America's Next Top Model, but you're taking smaller steps that are more deliberate, that are easier. It strengthens your hips and it strengthens your glutes. So that is a physiological way of actually strengthening yourself in feminine energy. Feminine energy has nothing to do with gender roles. It is about the push and pull energy. It is about the balance between the masculine and the feminine. I don't care who does your laundry. What I care about is, as a woman, are you constantly in hustle and doing because it's actually weakening you? Or are you letting things roll off you? What does a weaker right glute mean? Oh, that's a great question. So the question is, what does a weaker right glute mean? So if you take a person and you split them down the center, the left side of the body is feminine and the right side of the body is masculine. So when there are things happening with just one side of the body, you know that there is, so in this case, weaker. You are actually weaker when you're in masculine energy. It actually takes you more effort to lift yourself up. And that's why the glute is weaker on the right side, which is far more common than a woman having the left side of her glute be weak, because women draw strength from being in feminine energy. So naturally, most women's left glute is stronger because emotionally it lets you lift yourself up and project yourself forward. And when women are in feminine energy, when they're in the flow, when they're out of hustle and comparison and I have to just get this done, they do find strength. When we are in hustle, we shelf things. I'll just do that later. When we are in feminine energy, things that don't matter roll away. They fall off. So you've switched, and now, because, yeah, that would make sense. And so if you were able to find strength, so I'm kind of squirreling here. When you are able to find strength in femininity, a lot of your symptoms do move to your right side. And the reason is feminine energy is about healing. And when our body is releasing things, we still have to feel them. Whatever level of pain, emotional pain went in, we still have to feel that pain again. And this is why I have nothing against energy work, but for someone to just say they've cleared that, if I haven't felt it, I haven't healed it. You have to feel it to heal it. And so if I have pain that I've blocked, if I'm not willing to feel that pain ever, it will never be healed, no matter how much oils, energy work, therapy, physical therapy, no matter what you do, if you're not willing to feel it, you will never heal it. And so a lot of times as we release, we will get symptoms again. That doesn't mean that we have things going on. It means our body is finally getting rid of it, and we are allowing ourselves to feel it. So you have to feel to heal. And when you shelf your emotions, you don't feel, you numb. You numb with TV, you numb with Netflix, you numb with staying busy, and you hustle and run, and you lose your ability to lift yourself up. And then you move into feminine energy, and it's beautiful, and you let yourself flow. And you get out of comparison, and you look at your day and you say, this is what I'm willing to do, and this is something that I can let go of. And it not only changes your health, but it changes your physiology. Because your body goes, oh, we don't have to hold on to things anymore. We don't actually need a shelf for this stuff to hang out on anymore. We can let it bounce off and roll off. We can let go of this. So sciatica is a lot of do what I say, not what I do. It's, I'm going to tell you to fix your life because it's easier to tell you to fix your life than for me to actually fix mine. So when women, and this is what I mean by the savior complex, you'll have people that they want to save everyone. They want to make everyone's life better because the person that they want to have a better life is themselves. So I wasn't going to mention this, but because that's kind of where the conversation went, I am actually doing a challenge it's called Out of Overwhelm, but the whole point of it is getting into and staying in feminine energy to be able to look physiologically and emotionally at what is putting you into overwhelm, what makes sense now. I love that. And you are in a good place to be able to be like, I was that way, and now I'm going to work on myself. And so now I'm going to let that go. But with the challenge, it starts a week from today. It'll be 5 days, 5 one-hour classes. All of it will be information about feminine energy, how to get into it, how to stay in it, how it changes you. We will be doing body mapping in there. But if that is something that you're like, okay, you're talking about feminine energy and I don't understand what that is, do the 5-day challenge with me then, because so many women right now are not understanding how much power there is in feminine energy. And no, this has nothing to do with not being bold. This has nothing to do with suppression. This has nothing to do with trying to diminish men to empower women, because I don't believe in that. I feel that both men and women have a very equal and significant role to play. And I'm not talking about gender roles, I'm talking about energy. So if you are in a relationship and you feel like you are pushy and controlling and get stuck in perfectionism, and they are needy and whiny, you have probably reversed energies, and you're in masculine and he's in feminine. So the challenge would be a really great place to learn how to balance that back out. There's one more thing I was going to say about butts. And now I don't remember what it was. If it comes to me, I'll put it in the comments. In the comments of this, I will put the link to the challenge. If you come up with any other questions about butts, put them in there. If you're watching this on replay, let me know that you caught the replay of it. And I hope to see some of you in the challenge, because I firmly believe that came up for a reason. There's someone who's going to watch this that needs to be in there, or I wouldn't have thought to say anything about it. But I love you. I hope this was helpful. It went a little longer than I try to do these lives, but I love that you guys are coming. If you have a suggestion or a question of what you want me to talk about next week, let me know. And oh, the challenge is a paid challenge. Sorry, someone just asked that. It's $37 for 5 hours of mentoring. So yes, it is a paid challenge. Why am I not doing it for free? Because when women see free, they say it doesn't matter. So when it's $37, like, don't buy a drink for a week and you can pay for it. But I want to help get you in. Yes, I will definitely share the link. I will put it in the comments. I hope you now love your butt, or you can at least say, wow, I need to work on being able to lift myself up, because it will help me strengthen physically. The cool thing about small butts, I never got to this, that's what I was gonna say. So big butts have the ability to naturally lift themselves up and project themselves forward, but smaller butts take on less. And so even when people do try to shove stuff on them, they're really good at saying, that doesn't work for me. And then they just don't do it. And so it's not you have to have a big butt to be good, or you have to have a small butt to be good. It's you have a natural ability to either take on a lot and then lift yourself up and push yourself forward, or you have the ability to say, I can't take that on. And you don't stay, the smaller your butt is, the easier it is for you to say, I don't need to deal with that. And then you have to take into the shape. So even if you just thought, oh, this was fun because it was something silly, I hope you got something out of it. I hope you can love your body a little bit more after watching this than you did previously. And I hope you know that your body is amazing and has messages for you. And those messages are important, and I hope you start listening. So I love you, and we will talk to you next Monday.